Hey everybody, it's Eric from EPautos.com, your libertarian car guy. It's the beginning of the week, a couple of days ahead of July 4th, which is really referred to as Independence Day, which I thought is an interesting thing because we've all become so dependent, haven't we? And that's not an accident. We become dependent because the government takes such a huge chunk of everything that we earn and then eats away at whatever we're allowed to have via the hidden tax called inflation, and then hits us again if we've somehow managed to accumulate anything of any actual value, such as a home, by forcing us to pay endless rent on the appraised value of the property, which is a very interesting thing in that it's functionally an unrealized capital gains tax. You know, if you bought your home because you want to live in the thing as opposed to buying it because you're thinking about selling it and making a lot of money, well, whatever the appraisal is a non sequitur. It's an irrelevance. Who cares what they say your house would sell for? It doesn't mean anything in terms of putting money in your pocket. It just gives them the excuse to take money out of your pocket. I've got a whole article about this over at EPautos, but I wanted to touch on a couple of things, bringing us back to where we started. You know, some of the founders, all of the founders, and in fact, ordinary people back at the beginning of this country were able, if they worked very hard through their teens and 20s, to achieve personal independence by the time they hit early middle age. I used the example in my article of Ben Franklin. Ben Franklin was essentially an orphan who arrived in town as a teenager with nothing and began to work as an apprentice at a print shop. And within a pretty short time, he had become the biggest and most successful publisher in the entire then nascent United States, and a very wealthy man by the time he was about 40. He was independent. What do we got here? Look at this Clover. We're going 49 miles an hour, 47 miles an hour, and he's riding the brakes. Riding the brakes. Oh, maybe he's going to turn. Maybe this is like the slow motion turn thing that some Clovers like to do. No, he's just riding his brakes because heaven forbid we should actually go the freaking speed limit. He's going 50 and he's riding the brakes, riding the brakes, riding the brakes, not letting off the brakes. Oh, he just let off the brakes and we might go, we're 49 miles an hour. Now let's see if I can get around this guy. Maybe we can get a look at him. Let's see. Here we go. I didn't get a look at them. Their windows are all tinted, but holy cow. Sorry for Clover interruptus. Anyway, the point is that Franklin and a lot of other people at that time were able to achieve economic independence on a personal level because they weren't constantly taxed on every cent that they earned, and when they accumulated capital, as in the form of real estate, as in the form of savings, it was all theirs. They didn't constantly have to pay money. They weren't told they owed things. Consider the plight that we're in, where even if you don't contract a debt, even if you live frugally, even if you live within your means, somehow you owe people money. The government money. The government says you owe money for property taxes. You owe income taxes. All these owes. It's astonishing. And as a people, we've gotten so used to it, we're kind of PTSD'd by it, I think. It's very much of a piece with the way a woman who's constantly battered by her husband just gets used to being battered by her husband and might even defend the battering. It's just a really sad state of affairs, and I just wanted to talk about that a little bit today in anticipation of the 4th. If you're interested in more, there's an article, actually 2 of them, up at EPautos.com, which I hope you'll stop by and check out. Thanks as always for listening, and we'll have more for you again soon.